Progressives need to know the right way to fight Donald Trump. And as a sort of reminder, I said right away after the election of President Donald, we need to fight him on policy where it makes sense, but we need to push him to do the things where he aligns with progressives, the areas where Trump aligned with Bernie Sanders, and stick to issues specifically. And there's a fascinating article, you have to read this article in the New York Times by Luigi Zingales, which agrees with a lot of what I've been saying. Why do we care what Luigi Zingales writes in the New York Times? Well, he's from Italy, and he saw firsthand how Silvio Berlusconi came to power with a very similar rhetoric to that of Donald Trump's. And it ended up, we saw with Silvio Berlusconi, one of the most corrupt and long-lasting Italian leaders, in part because of the incompetence of the opposition. I cannot possibly overstate the importance of this. In Italy, much of the opposition to Silvio Berlusconi was personality-based. And this is sort of equivalent to the focus on Trump making fun of disabled reporters and women, calling this group or that group rapists or criminals. That is absolutely worthy of critique, okay? But it failed to deny Donald Trump the presidency. So progressives need to get today that it isn't likely to deny him re-election, nor is it likely to deny him the ability to do stuff during his presidency. Luigi Zingales cites these anti-Trump protests that are happening after the election, and he explains that Trump won. I mean, we think, we're still in the middle of some recounts, that Trump won in spite of the personality and sort of, I don't know what you would call them, off-color type arguments against Donald Trump, and that protesting his actions before he actually takes actions as illegitimate, if indeed Trump did win, is sort of going in the direction of the strategy that failed to oust Silvio Berlusconi in Italy. And as examples of the right way to fight Berlusconi Trump-like leaders, Zingales cites in this article two people, Romano Prodi and Matteo Renzi. These are two men who were able to defeat Silvio Berlusconi in Italy, and they did two things that are really important. Number one, they pretended that Berlusconi was sort of a regular opponent. And it's really hard to treat Donald Trump as if he's a regular elected official because he's so buffoonishly uninformed and incompetent on just about every issue. And number two, Renzi and Prodi in Italy focused on issues and not character. And then Zingales goes on to agree with me almost word for word. Focus on, number one, where does agreement exist with Donald Trump as progressives? Infrastructure deals, even though the way Trump is structuring his infrastructure deals, it's basically corrupt crony capitalism. But okay, infrastructure is something generally that it's more the left that agrees with Trump than the right. Encourage Trump to do what he said in terms of reinstating some new version of Glass-Steagall, but then disagree vehemently, aggressively on all the other policies that make no sense. And there's another advantage to this strategy in terms of it having been shown to be effective in Italy against a Trump-like Berlusconi. It can help drive a wedge between Trump and establishment Republicans. Seeing Trump work with Democrats on issues like more regulations for separating the commercial and investment sides of banking. Seeing Trump work with Democrats on things like government spending via infrastructure, this is going to be unpalatable to many Republicans. Some are just going to fall in line with whatever Donald Trump does because of the cult of personality. But it can also serve to drive a wedge between the Republicans who really didn't like Hillary, but are still traditional Republicans in that they don't want government spending and they don't want banking regulation, and they want neoconservative intervention in the Middle East. This can serve, I would call it a two-sided purpose, but it's really more like three or four. We need to be very aware of what Luigi Zingales wrote in the New York Times. We're linking to the article in the description to the YouTube video for this story, and it really is overlapping with a lot of what I've been saying. And this is why it makes it all the more important to actually have progressives coordinated and engaged the way I'm proposing we do. And we're going to be having a fundraiser starting sooner than later to raise money for that and a lot of other things that progressives really need to get together. Let's take a break. Any thoughts on this? Tweet me. I'm on Twitter @dpakman.